Dear students, welcome to Ignis IAS. So in today's session, we will be discussing about an important topic which is related to mother language. As you all know that on 21st February every year, UNESCO observes this day as International Mother Tongue Day or International Mother Language Day, which in itself emphasizes upon the importance of mother tongue and particularly imparting education in mother language. In this regard, we would like to discuss a report which was published by UNESCO in December 2025 with the title Bhasha Matters, State of Education Report for India 2025, Mother Tongue and Multilingual Education. So this is the title of this report, and we will delve into the different aspects which this report has highlighted. But before this, let's get to some facts about this report. As rightly said, that this report is published by UNESCO Regional Office for South Asia, and every year they would come up with this report related to mother tongue and multilingual education. This year the theme is particularly mother tongue based multilingual education, MTB MLE, that is multilingual education which is further based in mother tongue. So this is the theme of this report, and the focus of this report is on the role of language in ensuring inclusive and equitable education in India. Now this highlights the importance of education in mother tongue, because when we will be imparting education in mother tongue, then it will become more inclusive and equitable. How this will be the case, we will look into it in further discussion. Now this discussion is very important with respect to mains as well as your essay writing. There can be a topic we will discuss in the last of this discussion, that how they can ask a question in your mains as well as in essay. But for time being, what we need to understand is the relation between mother tongue education and making the education inclusive and equitable in India. And this report is anchored in three things. First is National Education Policy 2020, which is, we will see that this policy has also emphasized upon mother tongue based education. The National Curriculum Framework Foundational Stage FS 2022 and National Curriculum Framework School Education 2023. This also lays emphasis on mother tongue, and also the UNESCO's multilingual education principles. So based on this report has highlighted some challenges as well as made some recommendations related to implementation of mother tongue based multilingual education in India. Let's discuss about the different aspects of multilingual education in India. First, some statistics are there which suggest that there are 1,369 mother tongues in India and 121 recognized languages spoken in India. In spite of this, nearly 44% of the children, they start their school education in a different language. That is, their mother language would be some different language, but they are taking admission or enrolling into an education system which is very different from their mother tongue. Now, this data which we have is by NCERT, and why we are discussing this, why mother tongue is very important. This is precisely because language is not just a means of communication. It is far more than this. There is a philosopher, Ludwig Wittgenstein. He propounded language game theory. So if we take recourse to that language and take out the relevant portion of it related to the mother language, mother tongue, we would understand that this mother tongue is not just a means of communication. Rather, it shapes the perspective, opinion, the way an individual looks towards the world in itself. So the complete idea an individual would develop is based on mother language or mother tongue. So that is why this is very important. It is not just a means of communication. Now, because of this gap, that is nearly 44% of the children, they are starting their education in a medium which is very different from what their mother tongue is. So this has an implication in the form that there is a mismatch. Now they face difficulty in comprehending the things. And because of this, there is also an issue of foundational literacy and numeracy. Because they are being forced to enter into a medium of education which is not something which is practiced in their households, right? So this is the direct implication of this initiating point itself. Now we see that every year there is a report by ESSER as well, Annual Survey of Education report by Pratham NGO. So these all reports, they are highlighting issues in foundational literacy and numeracy. The class 8th student is struggling to read a passage from class 5th, class 2nd. They are hardly able to do basic numericals. That is, class 5th student is not able to do class 2 numericals. So why these all issues are arising? This is precisely because of this thing. That is, they are initiating their education in a medium, in a language which is very different from their mother language. Because of this, and see, these are the formative years for an individual, for a child. Now, when they are facing this difficulty, when they have to cope up with this additional burden of knowing the things from a different language, so that is why there is a lag in FLN. Because of this, there has arisen a concept of multilingual education. What is this multilingual education? That is using more than one language in education to support learning and literacy. That is, you are using more than one language. It may not be just Hindi or English or Tamil or Telugu, but yes, using multiple languages so that a child would feel more comfortable in expressing one thing and also comprehending what we are trying to feed them through study materials and all. So this is the concept of multilingual education. Recognizing the mother tongues, mother languages spoken, varied mother languages is spoken in the regions. Now, what are the principles based on which this multilingual education depends? That is, start education in mother tongue or home language. That is, the initiation of a child in education system should be with mother tongue only, so that they gradually face this issue of comprehending things in different language, but initially they will be able to cope up quite easily. What is being spoken around them in their homes, they will directly witness that in the education system. That is, the medium would be mother tongue. Then gradually introducing regional, national and global language. So first this education is started in mother tongue or home language. Thereafter, we can come up with introducing regional, national or global languages rather than directly starting with the Spanish, let's say, from nursery onwards. So it is not a preferable idea, because this is very, alien thing. For a child, it will be very alien thing to come up with the language which is not spoken around them. So it is always better to start with mother tongue and then go with this regional, national and global languages gradually. Then promote additive multilingualism, learn new without replacing mother tongue. So this is something which is very, which forms a core of this multilingual education. We see that now people, because of English medium schools and different boards, they have a complete disconnect with their mother language. And because of this disconnect, as we have already discussed, they are not having any connection with the world perspective or the perspective about this universe, which the literature, which the thinking, which the ideology, which the thoughts in mother language they would have provided to those children. So because of this, it is being emphasized that first there should be mother tongue, then different languages, and these mother tongues which are spoken around them should not be replaced completely. They should be there as well. Okay, so this is what is the meaning of multilingual education. Now, why mother tongue matters? Why we are so much focused on mother tongue. First is cognitive benefits, better conceptual understanding. A child would not have to cope up with this additional burden of taking up the things from an alien language. Whatever the language is spoken around them in their household, they will be directly dealing with that language and will start to comprehend the things which are being taught to them in their school. So better conceptual understanding. Now the focus would be on concepts of any subject rather than coping up with any additional language burden. Improved memory and reasoning skills. Now because of this medium, which is mother tongue, which is being practiced in their homes and around them, so they will be better able to link the things with their surrounding. So this will help in improving the memory and reasoning skills of a child. Then educational benefits, of course, this will lead to faster literacy acquisition. There are students who would drop out from their schools because of language burden, because they are not able to cope up with this alien language. Particularly in tribal society, we see that because of lack of literature, lack of available material, and the lack of language-based teaching, so because of them, they drop out. So literacy acquisition would be faster based on this, because they will be able to acquire the concepts, acquire the learning quite easily and in a faster manner. Higher classroom participation. Now because of this mother tongue, they will feel an affinity that yes, whatever is being taught to them is related to whatever is going on around them and is related to their real life, rather than some alien concept or something which is being artificially fed to them and would be of no use in their life. So this would not be the case then. So they would be naturally more interested in participating in classes. So daily attendance would also improve. Then what are the social benefits related to mother tongue? Cultural identity preservation. Now this disconnect which occurs because of the disconnect with the mother tongue, right? So this would no more be there if mother tongue is their initial mode of education. So they will also be better learned about their cultural identity, and this will further go on in a preservation mode. Stronger community school linkages. Now community in which this school is located, now this school is having their initial this imparting of education in the local language, in the mother tongue around that school. So this will strengthen the bond between community and the school as well. Those things which are related to their society, their culture, they will also be taken up in their teachings. Those examples would be better suited to those curriculum. So these are the social benefits associated. Now, what are the emotional benefits? Now, because of starting their education in mother tongue, this will reduce anxiety among the first generation learners. What are first generation learners? These are those people, those children who will be the first timer or first in their lineage who would be going to schools. Before them, their parents, grandparents, they have not taken up a formal education through school education system. So for them particularly, this will be reducing the anxiety to a greater extent, because it will not be some artificial form of education system to them. They will feel it like, okay, whatever is being taught in their home, the same thing or improved version of it is being taught in the school. So this is why mother tongue matters. And above all, the thing is the perspective, the opinion about the outer world. So this will help a children develop their cognitive, social, emotional, and other capabilities. Now, what are the problems in India's language in education system? Language in education system means the language which we are employing in our education system. First is language mismatch is there, which we have already seen the data by NCERT that for 44% they are starting their education in a language which is different from their mother language or home language. So because of this, there is a language mismatch. Then poor learning outcome. So these are interrelated. Now because of language mismatch, it results into language barriers which are affecting their reading and numeracy levels. FLN is directly affected because they have to cope up with this additional burden of language matching rather than focusing on concepts. Then tribal education gap, particularly in the tribal areas, the students there, they often begin schooling in unfamiliar regional languages. Now, this is really a burden for tribal students. For them, it becomes really a nightmare to catch up in those systems. Then there is a shortage of multilingual teachers. Now, the teachers would be having competency in English or Hindi or a major regional language, but not different language or mother languages which are spoken in the area. So this then affects the connection, the bond between the children and their teacher. So this bond, when is affected, this will directly affect the pedagogy and the learning outcomes. Then there are limited teaching materials. Now that these tribal languages or minority languages or different mother languages, so there are hardly textbooks available in these languages. So because of non-availability of material, the education, it gets affected and it results into dropout. And then English preference. Again, the thing is, because English is a language, or I would say is a skill, which is valued across the world, and it has a higher chance of getting you an employment. So because of this, parents are demanding English medium education. This we have seen in Rajasthan. The government has come up with this program that all the schools will be having English as a medium for imparting education. They had set up separate English medium government schools, but now they are winding these schools up. There was demand, but then it is affecting the cognitive development of children at a very young age. So that is why now they have taken a decision to wind up these exclusive English medium government schools in rural areas. So these are the reasons why there is issue in language and education system in India. But to address these issues, we do have policy framework regarding to language in education. What are those policy framework? First is National Education Policy 2020, which has emphasized upon the medium of instruction as mother tongue or home language till class 5 or grade 5, and preferably till grade 8. That is till grade 5, that is class 5th. It is there. It is mandated. But if there are resources and if it is possible, then till class 8th also it can continue. So National Education Policy is taking this into consideration. Further, promote multilingualism. The policy recognizes the importance of promoting multilingualism, because when there will be multilingualism, then only teachers will be able to better connect with the students, because the students will be from different regions. So it would be better to connect with the children. This teacher to student connect would be better. And also, when children will be having, not to a very far extent, but a good competence in multilingualism, they would be better able to understand the society, and their job prospects will also be better. They will be able to understand their region, their traditions, their culture. Then this policy also encourages Indian languages in higher education, that is engineering courses in Indian languages. Some IITs have also come up with this idea. So the education policy is considering this, and it is recognizing the importance of mother languages in education. Another thing is National Curriculum Framework, which is foundational stage 2022, which focuses on play-based multilingual learning in early years. That is, early education should be not in the pedagogy should not be in a traditional classroom oriented fashion. It should be play based, so that they would be naturally inclined or would be enjoying this process of learning things, learning languages. So playing with alphabets or in whatever playful manners they can impart these languages. Then National curriculum framework, School Education 2023 also emphasizes upon integrating multilingual pedagogy across school stages. There are primary, senior, secondary. So across these stages, it also focuses upon integrating multilingual pedagogy. So these are the policy framework. Now, with respect to tribal areas, how we are doing in multilingual education, there are issues, language barrier. Tribal communities, they face this issue of language barrier, low literacy, high dropout rates. So because of non-availability of materials, non-availability of teachers in their spoken language, literacy remains low. It is around 51 or 50, around 55% this tribal literacy in India. So this is very low as compared to national literacy. So this is precisely because of non-availability of resources, material in their language, as well as non-availability of teachers teaching in their language. And this results into high dropout rates. And because of this dropout rates, their further livelihood development, their job prospects, and all gets affected. But we have a positive example of Odisha. The state has implemented a program related to mother tongue based multilingual education, which covers 21 districts, 17 districts, 21 tribal languages, 90,000 tribal children, 1300 plus schools. So they have done a very good program implementation related to mother tongue based multilingual education. And what were the factors behind the success of this program? Community involvement, because it was focused on tribal languages. So of course community was involved here. They also felt proud that their language is getting recognized and their children will be able to get education in their own language. So community involvement was there. Local language textbooks. So they have come up with this material problem which was faced in tribal communities. So they have addressed, tried to address this issue. So they have come up with this textbooks and material in local language. Then tribal resource center. So they have established this tribal resource center, which will also be providing for the required material and also integrating the traditional cultural aspect of their knowledge system into the education. So that is why this could become a great success. So this model of Odisha MTB MLE program can also be implemented in other states where particularly tribal population is there. There are 10 states where scheduled areas are there as per the constitution. So there this can be done, and not just in tribal areas but in other areas as well. This can be tailor-made to suit the local needs. Further, there is a role of teacher and community in multilingual education, which is very crucial. Related to the role of teachers, there are some challenges which the report has highlighted. That is limited training in multilingual pedagogy. The teachers, they are not very much competent in different languages. They do know Hindi, or they are, let's say, from which state they are belonging. From Tamil Nadu, Tamil, in Andhra, Telugu, Malayalam. So the thing is, a major regional language, they have competency, and somewhat competency in English language. But beyond that, a good competency level in mother language is not there. So because of this, their role is getting constrained. Difficulty teaching diverse classrooms. Now because of this lack of multilingual pedagogy, they are unable to teach diverse classroom, because a classroom would be having students from diverse communities, having diverse mother language. So they are unable to establish a bond with their students. And because of this, the expression part, the understanding part, the refined perspective about the world, refined perspective about various phenomena, and conceptual understanding and all these gets affected. So here there are some reforms required. Teacher education program, for example B.Ed and other teacher training programs, should include translanguaging. That is, the major, at least we can start with some major mother languages which are spoken in those areas and from which various students are coming to those schools. Then multilingual lesson designs. There can be a framework developed related to imparting lessons in multilingual manner. That is, at least recognizing the different words from different languages. Then local language assessment is lacking. So we need to do this local language assessment. That is, this particular mother language is spoken, and from this area, maximum number of students are participating in education system. So this data, if we have data related to certain mother languages, mother tongues, so we can better provide the multilingual education in those schools. Then cultural knowledge integration. Now, their culture, because this education should not seem to these students as some artificial phenomena or some other worldly things which are being forced to them. The education system should also serve the purpose of recognizing their cultural system. So their curriculum should also be designed in such a manner. Particularly, we are discussing about the initial formative years, that is still grade 5, we can say, which national education policy is also recognizing. So till that, we can also include their cultural knowledge part into this pedagogy. So this will help them understand that the education or this is serving the purpose of their life as well. And then they will later on can be exposed to national, regional, global languages for the job prospects and all. Now, communities, they also have a role. What is their contribution? Creation of learning materials. Now, the community should also take up this responsibility that they have to create learning material. Whatever their traditional belief system, traditional ideologies, philosophies of the regions are there. So they should come forward, and government should also support them, and they should compile those learning material so that at least there should be some material available for the teachers, for the education system to deliver to the children. Preservation of our oral traditions, of course, that is there, and it is more or less there. The oral traditions are preserved, but if there will be no imparting of education in the initial formative years in mother language, so this will with the time get eroded. So this should be there. Oral traditions should also be preserved, because written material is one thing and pronunciation is a different thing. So as to have a continuity of these traditions, we need to also focus upon preservation of oral tradition, that is recitation of the material, not just compiling the materials. Then local storytelling and cultural learning. So that is why, if you would observe why the governments, they are organizing this tribal fairs, and there some people will come up and they will have this scrolls, and they will tell the stories from their region. So these all, they do serve the purpose of multilingual education. So these all can be integrated with the education system, this local storytelling and cultural learning. Now, what is the role of technology in multilingual education? So there are some digital platforms which have been made for Indian languages. What are these key initiatives taken by the government? One is Diksha, digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing. And Telangana has beautifully utilized this platform, this initiative, in utilizing digital tools for improving access to learning material in local languages. So this example of Diksha portal, utilizing it for multilingual education, is Telangana. They have beautifully utilized this. And then there is PM eVidya, ePathshala, Adivani, Bhashini, AI-based language translation is there. So this will also help children in knowing their local language or accessing the material in their local language. Then there are certain benefits of these key initiatives. Digital learning in regional language. Now they won't be just dependent upon the printed books. if they have access to Bhashini, they would be able to access from anywhere related to their local languages. AI translation tools are available. Multilingual digital libraries will be accessible to them. Now, they won't be dependent upon some physical infrastructure based library, which is an issue in itself. So, because of these initiatives, the access to local language material would be increased manifold. But still, there are some challenges in these key initiatives. First is this digital divide in rural areas. So, this lack of digital tools available, for example, internet connectivity or smartphones, laptops, computers in rural areas particularly, is in itself a challenge. So first we need to have this digital divide should be bridged. Then lack of content in tribal languages. Even if we have, let's say, AI based language translation, this can only translate those material which are available in different languages. Now, once this material or this traditional repository, it shifts, the perspective related to the world would shift. So we need to have, we need to have local tribal language content, even if these AI translation tools are available. Now, this will also serve as a cross linkages. If you have local tribal language content available, so AI translation can help these content translated into other languages, for example, English, Hindi, or major languages. So, which will also help in better integration, better recognition of traditions and cultures. So, these challenges are still there, which needs to be addressed. Now, this report, Bhasha Matters State of Education Report for India 2025, has identified some key challenges, which are insufficient multilingual teachers, lack of language disaggregated education data. What does it mean? That is, we do not have a concrete data related to different students coming from different backgrounds, having different mother languages. So this data should also be there. We need to compile this data. Then only we will be able to serve in according with their demand. So it should become demand driven. Early shift from mother tongue to dominant language. Now this is a challenge, which we have seen that there is data from NCERT as well, which we have already discussed. Limited digital resources in local languages. There have been initiatives, and there are examples like Telangana, they have utilized the Diksha portal. So these are challenges which are there, but these can be addressed. Weak institutional coordination. So institutions, they need to coordinate better. Education department and tribal welfare department, they need to coordinate related to this cultural traditional practices or material or philosophies or whatever the things are there can be changed into a proper curriculum for the school education. Why we are waiting for these traditional and cultural education or part to be taken up in very higher studies like PhD and all? Why not start with initial concepts, little small concepts to be taken up in early education itself? So this can be there. So this institutional coordination should be strengthened. This report has further highlighted certain opportunities available to India in this regard. Strong policy support, that is, the government has rightly come up with this new education policy of 2020, which has placed emphasis on multilingual education. So this policy framework is there. So this is something which is positive in India. Growing technology ecosystem, we have seen Bhashini AI translation tool, and this access to AI is also increasing. Cultural diversity. Now, because we have a rich linguistic heritage and cultural diversity, so for us, there is a ground ready. We can come up with different models and different edtechs particularly. They have this, room available there. They can come up with solution to address this problem. Community knowledge systems. indigenous knowledge is available throughout different traditions, different regions. So what we need to do is just integrate them in education. So this all things are available. India has a lot of opportunities in this field, but we need to utilize these opportunities in the favor of multilingual education. Then only we will be able to get the benefit out of it. So this report has also suggested some recommendations. What are the recommendations? Some 10 recommendations are made. These are clear state language and education policy. That is, states should come up with clear, because education is a state matter, state subject in Schedule 7. So clear, there should be clear policy by the state related to the language they would be employing in education system. They need to recognize that, okay, you can have northern states will be having Hindi, but apart from it, there should be regional mother tongue languages in different regions. Southern states can have one major language and also other languages. Recruit multilingual teachers. Now this is really very important, because if teachers are not having competency in multiple languages, mother languages particularly, then a crucial link would be missing. So this is very much important, and this need to be there. And for this, the teacher education, a teacher training program should be reformed to a greater extent. Their competency need to be built up. They need to be trained. In job training should be there, and this training should be annual. We can have annual training or biannual training. This should be continuous training process. Institutionalize community participation. When people, the cultural societies, they would be participating, they would be coming up with compiling of their cultural material, traditional literacy material, and also helping the government, helping the development of education pedagogy, then also it will be possible for the government to come up with this multilingual education. So their participation is also very crucial. Develop multilingual textbooks and materials. So this is definitely very important, because without material, the education system cannot be established. There must be some educational materials which will be served to the children, and based on this, it can be imparted. Integrate gender responsive mother tongue based multilingual education framework. So this should also integrate gender responsive things. Now in tribal society, we see that the females, they are quite empowered. We do not see a great difference in literacy rates in tribal areas, and there are very less social evils as compared to the other main cultures. The tribal culture, they do not have such social evils. So this is a very positive thing about tribal culture. So these all should be made a part of this framework, and this should not be that we are only focusing upon male counterparts in this pedagogy. So this will create further problems. So we need to, in the beginning itself, integrate gender responsive MTB MLE. Then use digital infrastructure for multilingual learning. The government has come up with key initiatives like Diksha, PME Vidya, Adivani, E-Pathshala, Bhashini. So these all should be utilized. Their potential should be utilized to maximum to address the lackings related to material availability, physical infrastructure availability. So these all can be used. Invest in inclusive language technologies. So do not just focus upon English language based apps, education apps, or AI apps. So whenever there is a new language translation app available and other similar platforms are available, they should take this in their design itself to make it inclusive in terms of language. So their usage would definitely be improved because of this, and the access, when improved, will also help the tribal, and not just tribal, but also linguistic minorities, or those who are very much still speaking mother languages. So their access would also improve. Ensure sustainable financing. Again, these all material we were discussing about participation of community, teacher training programs, developing multilingual textbooks and materials. So these all would require a good funding. Of course, one way is to have budgetary funding from the state governments and the central government. But apart from it, we should develop sustainable financing. Now, these can be done through philanthropists. There are, for example, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is there. Some other foundations are there. So they can also be included here. And this can be made in a sustainable manner. That is, they should generate their own resources. An initial seed money could be given, and then it should be in a sustainable manner. That is, this textbook and materials, they are available, they are made available, and these should start a cycle, virtuous cycle, that they are for let's say for after 5-10 years it should become self-financing, self-sufficient. So some mechanism should be developed. Initially we can bring in CSR, philanthropists and all in these. Then establish a national mission for mother tongue based multilingual education. Now we need to take up this as a mission mode project. Otherwise, the slow pace in itself kills the motivation and enthusiasm. So it needs to be taken in a mission mode. Then community participation, teacher training program, development of textbooks and material, and all can be ensured timely. So these are the 10 recommendations which are made by this report for multilingual education in India. So this then brings us to the significance for this for India. Why we need to do this? First is improving learning outcomes, which we are repeatedly seeing every year in the ESSER report, that they have pointed out poor learning outcome. And when we are focused upon improving learning outcome, then we should go with this approach of multilingual education. This will also reduce the dropout rates, particularly in secondary and senior secondary education. Those students who are moving from primary to secondary, so that will reduce the dropout rates. Cultural diversity would be promoted. Now, when an individual feels that their language is respected, their language is recognized, their culture is recognized. When you recognize the language, you basically recognize their world perspective, their culture, their tradition, their identity, their existence. So this will promote cultural diversity. This will preserve cultural diversity. And if a language dies, a culture dies basically. So this will preserve cultural diversity. And we can proudly say that India is a mosaic of cultural diversity. So we need to bring in this multilingual education. Strengthen inclusive education. Now this will ensure, multilingual education would ensure that there are students from across different communities. It is not just those who have had early access to English language, only they would have access to higher education or different modes of learning. So if we would be able to bring in multilingual aspect in education and different digital tools, so this will ensure that those who are still backward in terms of access to different tools, different modes, different mediums, so at least they would be having access available to these all tools, and this will result into equality of opportunity, that is inclusive education. Then preserve endangered language. And yes, when we would be having textbooks, materials, training teachers in multilingual competency, and developing digital tools in multilingual aspects, so this will all result into preserving endangered language. Then what are the key takeaways from this report? The thing is, linguistic diversity is not a barrier to education. So this should not be considered as a barrier because so and so community is just restrained because of their mother tongue. So this should not form a barrier, but it should become a powerful educational resource. utilize their resources, their knowledge about the world, their traditional knowledge, culture, utilize that and transform them into material and provide them in the form of education framework. Implementing mother tongue based multilingual education can make India's education system more inclusive, equitable, and culturally responsive. Then it will uphold the principles of our constitution: inclusive, equitable, and culturally responsive. So, this is why Bhasha matters. Now, related to UPSC mains, GS paper 1 and GS paper 2, there are topics related to Indian culture and linguistic diversities and tribal education in paper 1. In paper 2, it can be linked to education policy, inclusive development. And here are two practice questions for you, 10 markers. India's linguistic diversity is both a cultural strength and an educational challenge. Discuss. What is mother tongue based linguistic multilingual education? Explain its importance in early childhood education. So these can be mains questions. And related to essay, there can be some themes like language is not merely a medium of instruction, but bridge between identity, culture, and learning. Another topic could be unity in diversity begins with linguistic diversity. So these are some essay topics and some mains question for you to practice. I hope this would be very much helpful for you to have a comprehensive idea about the importance of multilingual education in Indian education system. So that will be all for today's discussion. All the best.